So, Brendan, thank you very much for joining us. Brendan Simmons, everyone from the DeWinter Group. And Brendan, you guys have just recently gone live with DWIGHT. So we'd love to find out a little bit more about what the problem statement was before you implemented DWIGHT, what DWIGHT is doing for the DeWinter, and then ultimately also understand why did you choose chat automation and what problem is it solving, right? What business benefit is it bringing to you? So without much further ado, over to you.
No, I'm happy to share. Dries, first of all, just want to thank you guys for your partnership here. Really impressed with the platform and what it's been able to do. We'll talk about that obviously a little bit. For us, what drew us here initially was a problem where, and actually this goes back about 2 years for us. So as we went live on Bullhorn 1, we use Paylocity as an HRIS and payroll platform, and there was no integration with Bullhorn, and so that obviously caused a lot of manual work for our team. Transferring data as a placement's created in Bullhorn, they were literally copying, pasting, and transferring data, creating onboarding packets, things like that. Things that really the team sat down and estimated that without interruptions, which never happened, right, from a support standpoint, but without interruptions was taking them approximately 45 minutes per placement to complete, right? So you can imagine the amount of time with as many placements as we make, right, the amount of time that was taking. And we had researched for and actually gone through a process for about 2 years to build an API integration a couple of different ways. And it actually went down 2 different paths. One path just ended up not working. The other path was pretty exponentially expensive for a staffing firm. So we decided not to continue down that road. And that is actually what led to the conversation here. So somebody that I really respect and work with in the industry said, hey, you should, I've heard about this. I haven't had time to check this out. You should check it out. And the joke that we have, right, is like, don't pay attention to the website. At that point, it was like, that's not what they do. They're doing a lot more. And I said, okay, great. And so I trusted him and reached out to you, had that conversation. And what really appealed to us in this process is DWIGHT is a front end solution, right? So it literally is a digital worker. And what it did is it allowed us to replace all of that manual work, right? So our team worked with your team to really detail out that process and build the bots to service that workload. So what we were doing, which was taking us 45 minutes to completion with still some manual and missing steps in the process, that we're now averaging right at 5.5 minutes per completion. And that is even outside of our regular business hours, right? So typically the team was only doing those during regular business hours during the US. And now we're kind of able to do that 24 hours a day in about a 5.5 minute completion time. And obviously for us, I mean, you can imagine what that means. It means that we can take those existing team members and kind of repurpose them into more value added roles where they can really help us drive revenue into the business. They can create relationships with our clients and our candidates rather than just being very reactive in what they're doing. So, and it also allows us to, as we continue to grow, to streamline our operational support, in a financially responsible way, while also providing, I would say even an enhanced level of service, not only to our internal team, but to our clients and candidates as well.
Brilliant. Yeah. And I think in terms of time equation, it was something like 3 full-time equivalent in terms of people's time, right? That was doing the process manually.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. And so with our DWIGHT dashboard now, we have people that are just manually, nothing manual anymore, right? So they are literally just reviewing that dashboard. Anything that comes across that they need to take a look at, maybe that doesn't match from a data perspective, they're going into that one singular point and then running from there. So again, I mean, we're doing that with the equivalent of probably half of an FTE. We still have a team, right? But from an overall time dedication to just that component, we've really been able to streamline that very effectively.
Yeah, and it's fascinating for almost all of our clients. That's the situation we come across, is the GHT standing for generic human tasks, automating that kind of element of the process so that your sellers can be focused on the selling, and actually your middle and back office staff can focus on the more value added, more challenging kind of tasks, right? Which gives great job satisfaction as well, ultimately, we think. But I'm sure you'll correct me if not.
No, I think that's 100% right. I think that those critical thinking components, right, that humans that will never be replaceable from a human aspect, right, and those critical touch points from a human relationship standpoint are what we really want our people to focus on. And the manual tasks of the data entry and things like that are critical to business success, right, but can be easily, put off into an automated process. That's really where we wanted our focus, right? And as we came into this conversation and this relationship, that was probably the most important thing to us, right? Is that's what we wanted to really solve, was not only our business problem, but to give us even a forward-looking approach. I mean, this was, as we started these conversations, right? Even very initially, this was the first problem to solve. And then that opened up the door to, hey, we have a lot of other things that we would love DWIGHT to do.
Well,
I
think
our
we
team.
can say we've jointly fathered one DWIGHT into DeWinter Group so far, but there's hopefully a family coming, and we'll have
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So as we were going through it, I mean, my team, we would have internal calls, right? And they were like, and this is, can we do this? And I said, yes, like phase one, and then let's continue the conversations and continue the expansion here, because like I said, it helps us streamline our business operationally, which allows us to help our business function effectively, right? And really helps us grow without a lot of unneeded overhead from an operational perspective.
Yeah. And by the way, you guys were a dream to work with. We've already given a shout out to Josie before, but your team are phenomenal. And also, I think it's fair to say the turnaround from our first conversation to actually let's get this done, and then the build time was a matter of a couple of months, I think, from start to finish, all the way from the start of the process.
Yeah, I think we were right at about 8 weeks, maybe 9 weeks, to a test process. And the beauty of this is, I think a lot of when you look at a lot of technical builds, right, or integrations, there's hey, let's build this, let's test it, and then if everything's good, we're going to move it into production. And the way that we were able to do this, I think was really cool, because it allowed us to kind of build in production ready to go, and then we were able to limit kind of the data that was being consumed and the placements that were coming from test companies and things like that before we kind of opened it up to the world. And we have the ability to control that moving forward. And I would be remiss if I didn't call out Josie again. I know we've done that, but she's amazing. She manages all of our middle and back office from a technology and operations perspective, and she's great, and couldn't have done this without her, for sure.
And I also liked how, I don't know if it was her idea or yours, but as we were testing DWIGHT, you were throwing in some red herrings here and there to kind of see, hey, what would he do? And then our team was coming back going, okay, this has happened. And it was like, yeah, that's what we were expecting for it to do. So that's great.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I think that was kind of a joint effort, right? We've gone through a number of these in the past, and you try to build as good of a test plan as you can, knowing that it's not going to be perfect. And as you work through it, you're going to have issues. You're going to have things that come up that you need to solve for, and anomalies that come up that aren't usually your normal business process, right? So we try to think of as many of those as we could, and kind of throw those into the mix and go, okay, like, let's see if we can break it, right? Like that's kind of our initial plan going forward. And it worked as designed every time, which was great.
We were getting some of these results back, and I'm like, damn, like, we've got a problem with the bot here. Like, what's going on? Like, this doesn't sound normal, but let's just present the results back.
Yeah, we were like, yeah, perfect, check. That's exactly what it's supposed to do.
Right. No, listen, Brendan, thank you very much. And I've got to give a shout out to the DeWinter Group as a whole, because one, you've been phenomenal to work with. Two, clearly you're a forward-thinking firm, right? That's ready to kind of adopt these kind of newer technologies, and we look forward to many more DWIGHTs and bringing up a family together.
Yeah, we do too.
that makes you even more attractive to your clients as well. So thank you very much.
Definitely. Thanks, Dries. Appreciate it.